Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April 28th. In our devotion for today, I want to continue with our theme this week, which is keeping our eyes on Jesus. Yesterday, we looked at this verse in Hebrews, which talked about how we need to keep our eyes on Jesus. That's how we make it through the difficult times when doubts and disappointments or when things that we're used to have been taken away from us. Remember, the letter to the Hebrews was written to a group of Jewish believers, followers of Christ, who had lost the temple, had lost a central part of the way that they worship. And they're questioning, how do we move forward? How do we continue worshiping with God? We drew a lot of parallels yesterday. And so I wanted to talk to our time today. And so I wanted to talk about another step, another practical way that we keep our eyes on Jesus. And this has to do with comparing ourselves to others. In Romans chapter 12:6, in the Message version of the Bible, it says, "Let's just go ahead and be what we were made to be, without enviously or pridefully comparing ourselves with each other or trying to be something that we aren't." You know, I love this verse and I love this particular translation of this verse because one of the things that always helps us, it hinders us from keeping our eyes on Jesus is the fact that we are constantly comparing ourselves to others. It's ingrained in our culture. We are taught and trained about comparing ourselves to others. Marketing uses it as a tool from an early age. And so we are literally trained and conformed and taught that we always need to be comparing ourselves to others. That's how we decide whether or not we have worth. Depends, I'm valuable if I make more money. I'm valuable if I sing better, if I paint better. I'm valuable if I can create things. I'm valuable as a person if I'm good looking or if people admire me or come to me. I'm valuable if I have certain kinds of possessions. I'm always comparing myself to other people. And the thing is that when I do this, I take my eyes off Jesus. Jesus is the person who determines our self-worth and our value. We are worthy, we have value because Jesus was willing to die for us. That's what's so important. And when we spend all of our effort and our energy in comparing ourselves to others, well, we get lost. We wind up, because it's a game that we can never win. There's always someone who's always better at us. But Jesus went even one step further. He once shared a parable. This is in Luke chapter 18. When he talked about the story about two men went into the temple to pray. One was a Pharisee and one was a tax collector. The Pharisee got up and he prayed, "Lord, I thank you that I am not like all of those wretched sinners, like this tax collector over here. I'm thankful that I'm not like him, a horrible, ingrate person who doesn't worship you." The tax collector got down on his knees and he begged God for mercy because he confessed that he was a sinner. Jesus, as he's telling the story, points out that it's the tax collector that went away being made righteous, being justified. You see, what happens when we begin to conform or compare ourselves to others, either we are constantly putting effort into trying to be something that we aren't, or our pride is taking over because we think we're better than other people. Either results in us and our faith being minimized, our faith being stunted. Our faith doesn't have room to grow in that kind of an atmosphere. So keeping our eyes on Jesus involves stopping this endless need to compare ourselves to others. Now, I know it's difficult because it's ingrained in us. We've been doing it all our lives. It's something that we need to learn not to do. And that's hard. And so I know that overnight we're not going to stop comparing ourselves to others. But what we can do is every time we catch ourselves comparing ourselves to others or a good friend, we can say, no, I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to look at Jesus. I'm going to look at who Jesus was and how much Jesus loved me. Because as I focus my eyes on Jesus, I know that I don't stand up. I know that I'm a wretched sinner, but I also know that I'm loved, that I have value and worth, and that God accepts me just as I am. Amen. Amen. So one of the big parts about keeping our eyes on Jesus is moving away from comparing ourselves to others. Stay tuned. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the story of Peter walking on water, and we're going to learn about how keeping our eyes on Jesus helps to grow our faith even further. In the meantime, take care of yourselves and check in on those who are most vulnerable. Remember, tomorrow evening, Wednesday, 7 o'clock, we have our live prayer meeting. Feel free to send me prayer requests. You can email them to me at pastor@alpinelutheran.com, or you can send them to me via the app. They'll come right to me if you do that. If you go on our app and you share a prayer request via the app. Take care. See you tomorrow.